My name is Commissioner Frank Avila, and I'm a commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And the name of our show today is Open Yourself to Life Possibilities. And as I have my guest is Jeanne Roppolo, and she has opened up her life to life possibilities. Jeanne, glad to be on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Frank.
Now, Jeanne, for the last 20 years, has been abroad, out of state, and back in the Midwest. She was raised up in the southwest side of a suburb of Chicago called Stickney, Central Stickney, unincorporated. And because of her unique outlook on life, Jeanne, Chicago-born grandmother, has been a movie extra for Kevin Costner Waterways, volunteer firefighter, clothing model for Sears, exchange student mother, founding member and board member of Wanami Mainstream. That's in Hawaii.
That's in Hawaii.
Creator and manager of an Hawaiian bed and breakfast, PTA president, labor for Habitat for Humanities, Park District director, and now what she's doing now is an author and motivated speakers. And she has written 5 books on life possibility, and the name of her series is Mama Goes To.
Grandma Goes To.
And Grandma goes to any place in the world. And that's her series book that she has going. And I'll tell you, a lot of people have read her books and like her books. She's an excellent author. And also she's an excellent, motivated, and inspirational speaker. And so she'll show through her life examples what she accomplished through sheer will and determination during her lifetime. And Jeanne, you were in Alaska?
Yes. I was a volunteer for the Junior Iditarod.
Oh my God.
It's a sled dog race for teenagers. I had no clue there was such a thing.
So as a grandmother, you were a teenager?
No, I was just volunteering for the teenagers.
Volunteering.
No.
So how did you come up with the title, Grandma Goes To?
Well, when I did my first book, Grandma Goes to Antarctica.
Yeah.
Well, first off, when I was getting out of Antarctica, I worked for the National Science Foundation for 5 months down at McMurdo Station, Antarctica. And nobody believed my grandchildren when they said I was in Antarctica. And so when I was getting out, my dear friend, an award-winning author herself, Linda Collison, she suggested to me, well, why don't you write a book about your adventures in Antarctica? And I said, okay, I could do that. And because nobody believed my grandkids where I was, the title had to be Grandma Goes to Antarctica.
Now, how cold was it up there?
When I arrived, the day I arrived, it was negative 36 degrees without wind chill.
Oh my God.
And they give you all your ECW gear, extreme cold weather gear.
Extreme cold weather gear. Extreme. Oh.
So you're all bundled up, and you still felt that wind chill. And it was brutal.
So we should be happy here in the States,
Oh,
especially in Chicago when it got that minus 20 or minus 19. We should be happy.
Yeah, it was balmy.
Yeah, this is summertime here.
Right. Well, I did go in their summer.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God.
Which was our winter.
Oh.
So, yeah, their winters are even worse. That was summer.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So and so you spent there 5 months?
5 months living and working at McMurdo, which is the largest research station on the continent.
On the continent?
Yeah.
And how many people are up there?
During their summer, about 1,200 people. Yeah, so it was a whole town down there. I had no idea. And I talk about this in my
your
book.
Yeah.
About, I was at an ordinary moment in my life. I was attending a wedding. And I met a scientist. She happened to be the daughter of my best friend, Cece. And she was just returning from her first deployment to McMurdo. And I wanted to hear all her stories. So I said, Cheryl, tell me about Antarctica. And she said, well, why don't you go? And of course, being typical person, I know nothing about Antarctica. And I said, well, I'm not a scientist. She says, there's a whole town down there. I had no idea. And so that's why I said, be open to life's possibilities.
Yes.
So she planted that thought in my head. And by the time we sat down to the wedding dinner, I was announcing to everybody, I'm going to Antarctica.
Oh my God. No.
Not knowing how difficult it was to get a job.
Oh, you mean it was hard to get a job
Hard
down there?
to get a job.
Oh.
Yeah, so you have the National Science Foundation.
Yes.
Then you have the main contractor. Then you have all these subcontractors. Then you have the recruiters that go to each of the subcontractors. And my recruiter alone saw 40,000 applications for Antarctica.
You were lucky.
It was a miracle.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I was determined I was going to go.
And it's very fortunate that you went, because if you didn't go, you would not have wrote that book,
Right.
Grandma Goes to Antarctica, and the public would not read your book,
Yeah.
the best book around, Grandma Goes to Antarctica, to appreciate working in Antarctic on the research that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just started me on a whole nother path. I mean, my friend Linda telling me write a book, and I didn't know how difficult that was. And then I had so much fun, and of course I had help. My editor is my brother, who's another award-winning author, and he was trying to explain to me how to write a book. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
But I did. I really enjoyed it. And then I said, well, I should talk about my adventures in the South Pacific, when we traveled 1,000 miles south of Tahiti to a private island that had a population of 4 people.
4 people?
4 people.
Oh my God.
So that became book number 2. And it kind of just turned into a series, Grandma Goes To.
So you became a storyteller.
I am a storyteller. I don't
You
consider
are,
myself.
yeah, you are a storyteller now.
I don't consider myself an author.
No.
My friend Linda and my brother Joseph, they're authors.
Yeah.
They're writers. I'm just a storyteller.
And
I'm telling my stories.
Your story. Your
Yes.
story, yeah. And we should have a lot of more storytellers in the world.
Yes.
Telling their story so they could pass it on
Yes.
to the kids. Say, look, this is my possibility. I could take a chance.
Yes.
If this is what Grandma did,
Yes.
Grandma Jeannie did, I could take a possibility.
Exactly.
and
Because
not-
I took a chance I was 57 when I went to Antarctica. And if I can do this, because when I talk at schools and libraries and all these different venues, I say, if I can do that, I'm from the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
If I can do this, anybody can do
Anyone,
this.
yeah.
Just be open to life and listen. If you're having a conversation with someone, listen to what they're saying.
Yeah.
It could change your life.
Yeah.
You know, you just never know what they're going to say. I mean, that's how I got to Alaska.
Yeah.
My friend, Blue Megan, said, my family farm in Alaska is a checkpoint for the junior Iditarod. We were just having a conversation. And I said, wait a minute, back up. What's a junior Iditarod? Not the adult Iditarod. Junior is a sled dog race, 2-day sled dog race for teenagers.
Oh, teenagers.
Who knew?
Yeah.
But I was listening to what she said, and I said, well, let's go volunteer for the junior sled dog race. And off we went.
So your first job was with the junior dog, teenager dog racing?
Well, we just went up there to volunteer.
Oh, you just went up there?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So again, it's being in those moments of conversations where things just click and you say, well, okay, I can do that. Okay, I can write a book about my adventures. I didn't know what any of that meant, but I was willing to try and learn and grow from it.
Yeah. So now, when you were in the Antarctic, did you make any friends with the polar bears? Do you have a
Polar
friend
bears
there?
are in the Arctic. Penguins are in the Antarctic.
Antarctic, okay.
And yes, I can't believe the adventures that they allowed me to go on.
Yeah.
One of my favorite adventures, I think you have a photo of me on
Yes.
a snow machine.
Snow machine? Yes.
Okay, that was the first time I ever saw a snow machine.
A snow machine.
Snow machine, and we are going to drive. They're going to let me drive
Okay.
a snow machine up the largest, most southern active volcano in the world.
Oh my God.
And so I said to the leader, I said, I don't know how to drive a snow machine.
Yeah.
And he said,
there you are. There you're the snow
yes,
machine.
I love that photo.
And is that your
That's my ECW gear.
what's it called? What's the
Extreme cold weather
extreme
gear.
cold weather gear? By God, and that's your snow machine.
Yeah, and so he told me, this is my instructions. Hold the throttle, keep the person in front of you in view at all times,
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And we're driving up the volcano into whiteout conditions.
Oh my God.
But we had to go. It was our last opportunity to bring a tent and some supplies down off the mountain.
Yeah.
But the weather was, like I said, near whiteout
Yeah,
conditions, and he's like, we got to get off the mountain as fast as we
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
So on our way back down, we stopped at the fuel station because Pedro was this emperor penguin
Yeah.
that was molting, and we're not supposed to get super close
Yeah.
to him. But we were close enough that we could take
Yeah,
pictures and everything. And then driving back to McMurdo town, I'm driving this snow machine across the southern ocean, the frozen ocean. And I felt like Jacques Cousteau. I mean, I
Yeah.
was living PBS, and I was like, wow, me.
Yeah.
I got to do
And no one's
this.
around. You're just
No,
there.
it's just
Peaceful.
pristine.
Yeah,
Pristine, and you're just
Yeah.
snow machine.
And that's in
across-
your book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why people should go out and buy your book and read it to their kids.
Yes, and they're photographs.
Yeah, photographs.
The
yeah.
grandma books are half photographs. There's 62 photos in my adult
Everyone
book.
should read it if they want to do something different in their life and take a chance.
Take a
like
chance.
you took a chance.
I took a chance.
And your chance was good. And also, you took a chance and it changed your life to become a storyteller.
Yes. Yeah, I
Storyteller.
finally found my life's
Yeah.
calling.
Yeah.
A little late in
Yeah,
life.
that's good. A storyteller.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So from the Antarctic book, then you went and you wrote another book.
I wrote,
That was your first book.
this was my first book.
Okay.
And then I said, well, okay, that was fun. And now I learned a little bit about how to do it.
Yes.
Of course, had supervision. And I thought, well, I'm going to tell the story about the South Pacific because how many people, the next closest large inhabited island was Pitcairn of Mutiny on the Bounty fame.
Yeah, yes.
That's how far south we were in the Pacific Ocean.
Yes.
And we were on an island that had a population of 4 people.
4.
4 people. I mean, we were so far south. It felt like the end of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, Antarctica truly felt like an expedition to another world. But South Pacific felt like the ends of the earth. It was just
Now, what country
beautiful.
owns that island?
French Polynesia.
French Polynesia. And they had 4 people?
4 people.
What did they do on that island? Were they fishermen or
No, and
scientists?
no.
They just
And
loved
that
it.
was my thing, and how we got to be invited to that is when this Chicago girl, we moved to Hawaii when our kids were in high school.
Yes.
And my son made friends with a boy from this private island, and he invited us to come to his island, and it took numerous years before we could go, but his sister was the girl that I took care of for her high school career. She came to Hawaii for high school, and he had asked me if I would be her mom while she went to school in America. And so that's how I got to know the family and everything, and they invited us to their island, and not too many people go.
And that's the possibility that if you're kind to people,
Yes.
it comes back 50 times.
Well, that's how I felt. I felt so honored out of 6,000 town people that he asked me to be her mom. And I was honored by that.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody gets to do that.
And then you have the privilege of going to the island.
Yeah, and that all came later, and I was like, you have that opportunity. You have to
Yeah,
go,
yes,
right?
Yes. Yes.
You know, the townspeople
Sure.
were saying, Jeannie, you've never been camping. How are you going to do this? And I said, I don't know, but I'm going.
Yeah. That's good because you weren't afraid to take a risk.
Right.
And you weren't afraid. You took a risk, and it wasn't a risk because you were kind to a person that needed help, that needed a mother.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. See, how many people out there that if they're kind to someone, they'll in turn be kind to them, and in turn tenfold.
You just never know where life's going to take
So
you.
that's your second book.
That was my second book.
And what was the name of the book again?
Grandma Goes to the South Pacific.
So you got Grandma Goes to the Antarctic.
Yep.
Grandma Goes to the South Pacific. Is that a picture up there?
Yes. Yes. This one.
Okay. Grandma Goes to the South Pacific. Now, how long did it take you to write your first and second book? I mean, your first book must have took a longer time.
Well, the funny thing about, so my friend, award-winning author Linda Collison says, why don't you write a children's book? And I said, okay, not knowing what that entailed. And then I didn't know. So I went to the library, got a children's book, and I was trying to follow that format.
Yeah.
And so I finished this little story, and I gave it to my best friend, Cece, and I said, well, what do you think? And Cece, being, a friend of, over 45 years, she read this little story, and she literally took the papers and flung them across the table at me and said, do it over.
Yeah.
That is not how you tell stories. Where's your passion? Where are you? Do it over. I was trying to be a writer, and I'm not. So I changed my mindset, and every one of these stories, people will say, this is exactly how she talks, is how she writes. And so I changed my mindset. I rewrote the story. And then again, I didn't know what to do with it. So my brother, award-winning author, Joseph Higgins, I said, now what? Here's my manuscript, now what? And he said, blah, 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 blah. And I said, huh? He was asking me questions. I had no idea what the question was, let alone what the answer was. And so he's been helping me. He's my editor now. And he kind of explains publishing to me and how you do things, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So I have a lot of people in my life that are helping me, and they get no benefit from it.
Well, they get benefit because they're helping. Remember I said that if you help a person, they'll get help themselves.
I should say they don't get any financial benefit.
Right. But the other type of benefit.
Yes.
Because
so
that's what life
together.
is all about.
Yes.
That's what life is about. Be nice to people.
Yes. And help one another.
And help one another.
So I have a whole crew of people helping me in this adventure.
And you became a storyteller.
Storyteller.
And one of the top storyteller in the country now. No, excellent. Because there are very few storytellers. Very few. I mean, in the olden days, family used to get together around a fire and tell their stories of their history of the family.
Right. They don't do that anymore.
They don't do it anymore. And this is what you're doing. And you're doing it for the benefit of your family and for the benefit of the public.
Well, yeah, because especially with the grandma books, they're so short that the adults love them because they're like, we could learn a whole new culture and not be committed to a novel. It's a quick read. We're learning a lot. We're seeing photos of her actual adventures. And I'm just surprised at how many adults love the grandma books. And so that's what I do in my speaking engagements with not only kids, I do adults too. And I talk about just be open to life, jump in. You're going to learn so much. These are my true stories.
Yeah.
These are what other cultures are like, other lifestyles. Not everybody lives the way we do.
No.
Here in the city.
You're right, in the urban life,
Yeah, urban life. Oh my God, Alaska wilderness and South Pacific. Rural.
And then your third book. What was your third book?
Well, my friend that I met in Antarctica, like I said, her family farm was 45 miles from the nearest road, not the nearest town, the nearest road. And I said, okay, but they were a checkpoint for this junior Iditarod.
Yeah.
So when we get to Alaska, you know, I had to learn about lighting a fire, and I had to learn safety, and I had to even learn how to shoot a gun in case of bears. And I mean, I'm a city girl, you know, and so it was very eye-opening to me. And the kids for the junior Iditarod were just the most awesome, incredible go-getter. You know, nothing can stop. I mean, 2 days out in the wilderness.
How long is that Iditarod?
There's 150 miles.
Oh my God! 2 days they got to go 150 miles. So they got to do 70, average about 70 miles a day.
Yeah, and it's just them and their dogs.
Yeah.
And they have to camp with their dogs at night.
At night,
And make a fire.
Feed the dogs themselves.
Exactly. And I was like really in awe of these kids.
Now, where were you along the trip? Halfway point? Or?
I was almost to the halfway point.
Yeah.
We were at Eagle Song.
Yeah.
And so the kids would come through, and it's just a checkpoint. So they're signing their name, and they're flying on past. And then they get to the halfway point. They spend the night, and then they have to rest for at least 6 hours before they can start out again. And then they come back to Eagle Song, and then continue on to the town of Willow.
Now this is girls?
Girls and boys.
Girls and boys?
And the winner, the year that I was there, you would think an Alaskan. No, it was a young man from New York. So don't let that stop you. That you're
well, he must have some good dogs.
It's all about training,
Where did he get his dogs from?
Most of the dogs, because you think Huskies, right?
Yeah.
No, you can have any kind of dog as long as you train them.
Yeah.
And most of the dogs were rescue dogs.
Oh, rescue dogs.
Rescue dogs, not pedigree dogs. Rescue dogs.
Oh.
Yes.
And what are some of the best rescue dogs around?
Oh, I don't know.
No?
I don't know. I mean, this was way over my pay grade. What
yeah.
these kids were capable of doing.
Yeah.
Really, especially a city girl.
And
I don't know.
And then your fourth book?
Was about the race. So the Grandma Goes to the Alaskan Wilderness was more about the survival and living so far from civilization, you know.
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Right.
And your new book.
My new book.
What's the name of your new book?
Surreal Reflections on Ice. And I love that
Now
cover.
your 4 books were geared towards children, right? Plus adults too. I mean, these are adult books too.
But I wrote it with kids in mind.
But your 5th book is for whom mainly? Would you
Adults.
Think? Adults.
Adults.
And this is Serial. The name of the book again?
Surreal Reflections on Ice.
But does it say Grandma Goes to or not?
It's not a grandma book.
Okay.
It's when I got to Antarctica, I was kind of a broken soul.
Yeah.
And I was at a crossroads in my life.
Yeah.
And so this was taken from my journal when I was in Antarctica. I didn't know this was all going to come about afterwards. I was just taking these photos for me.
Yeah.
And I was just writing in my journal for me. And I was just collecting all these artifacts to put in my scrapbook. I had no idea this was going to come about. And so, taken from my journal, it was the day-to-day adventures that I had in Antarctica. It was about working there. It was about living with the people there. And it was about the adventures that I was allowed to go on.
And it also say if you're out there and if you're 50 years old or 55 or even 30 years old, this is what you could do.
Yeah.
Because take a chance. Jeannie took a chance.
Yes.
And it changed her whole life.
I did.
And it made her feel accomplished storyteller, the top one in the country now, just because she took a chance.
I took a chance.
Yeah, she didn't know that she was going to write a book.
No.
She didn't know she was going to go to Antarctica or that.
And I didn't know how to do any of this stuff, but I said, okay, I can learn.
Yes.
I can learn.
Yeah.
You know.
So now she's a storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
You're a speaker,
Mm-hmm.
a motivated speaker,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go out and talk to any
All ages. I've done as young as 3-year-old preschool all the way up to seniors.
Seniors.
And
Excellent.
I love it all.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yes.
love it all. And, you know, and what I do different is I don't lecture. I have a conversation with my audience, and I have my artifacts with me and my gear. And, you know.
I saw her gear. I fell in love with her coat. So I went out and bought a coat that's minus 20, not minus 36. So I could not go where she went with my minus 20 coat. But if you want to buy a book, any book for your kids or for yourself, I would recommend these books because it's from the heart of, you know, there's a difference between an author and a storyteller. Jeanne is a storyteller, and her books reflects her life, her story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's so bizarre. I'm still thinking, is this really me? I mean, all these things that I've done.
Yeah. It's her soul and her passion in the book.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're reading the book, you'll feel that you're there doing it with her.
Yes. All my adventures.
Yeah, the exotic adventure, the blizzard adventure.
Oh,
yeah. I like when you were there, where did you go to the washroom? I mean, did you meet anyone of the animals out there going to the washroom? You know, everything.
Well, in Antarctica, I mean, there are some camps that you're in a tent, you know, and you have an outhouse. But I was fortunate. I lived in town, so we lived in a dormitory. So I had indoor plumbing. South Pacific. No, but you have to read the book to learn about that. And then the Alaskan wilderness, yes, you had to go to the outhouse. And I tell the kids, they laugh at this because it's so bizarre. You know, being in an outhouse in Alaska in the winter time. The expression freezing your butt off takes a whole new meaning.
And also, she's writing more books. She has a lot of ideas going. So this is a series. She got one series, Grandma Goes to wherever she goes to. Now a new, is this going to be a series too or not? Or just
I have started on the sequel to that where, this is up to when we get out of Antarctica. It ends there. And then I talk about how I started on this path and all the different things that have happened since then. So I started that one.